Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Lifting's Guide to Galactic History. This is going to be more of a strange one because we're including clips from both the Galactic Interstellar Council and from a recent session I did a couple of days ago that include a group of that I call time agents. They come from a parallel Earth roughly 20,000 years into the future. And this particular individual called himself Jeremy Brownstone. And you'll hear me in the read clip first talking about the dynamics of how he time traveled and what messages his people bring in and what have you and why. The second clip is a little bit more detailed in other timeline respects coming from the recent Galactic Interstellar Council. But after that, we're going to bring him back in and ask further questions that we want to pose to him as well. So at this point, we're going to start showing you the clips.
See who comes up under Mr. Brownstone.
Mr. Brownstone. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. See if I can connect to this. Well, the energy has almost like a burning hot to it today. It's really weird. Trying to look through the energy. It's like you're standing in the sun. So
I'm pretty hot too because I just took a hot shower.
Yeah. Well, I was over at the unit today making orgone stuff, and sometimes that feels like sun hitting my face when I'm doing that. Finally, was able to make the Isaac's cranium skulls again, so start making those again. So
look into that.
let's see. Man, science just sure want to get inflamed here. Let's see. Okay, Mr. Brownstone. I hear you, but are you a ghost? Well, you can't be both. It's either yes or no. Okay, I need to see your heart space, please. Boy, that is a weird energy. All right. I'm not sure if this is positive or negative. This is very strange. Okay, let's see. Strange doesn't mean bad, so let me see here. Okay. Okay, I'm seeing somebody in like a professor's outfit, like a teacher. This seems to be. Wait a minute. If I didn't know any better, I'd swear this is one of the future human groups, like time traveling types. Let me see here. It's been a long time since I've run into one of these guys. So, what's this other heaviness, Isaac? What's this? It's not him. What's the heaviness? Okay, something tracking him. Yeah. Okay. Okay, we'll get rid of the thing tracking. I'll block that. Okay. Yeah, he's wearing. These guys remind me of like Doctor Who with like the tie and the vest and all this other stuff. They remind me of that quite a bit. Every time I see these time agent guys, they're very like sophisticated. This is where they got the idea of Doctor Who and like the shirt, the colorful like shirts and vests and stuff like that. This is very strange. Okay, I'm gonna go one more time and go reveal. Oh, you're legitimate. Okay. I throw light breath on him and just reveal form. And he's wearing a bowler hat, kind of crooked bowler hat, and a red tie, and like this vest, and his arms are bare. He looks like he belongs somewhere in the 20s. It's like, okay, this should get interesting. Okay. Okay, why'd you call yourself Mr. Brownstone? Do you have a full name? That's your agent designation, you said? Okay. And what were you wanting to communicate, Mr. Brownstone? The fact that, what? I'm having a hard time hearing and seeing you. Can you please come into my frequency a little more? Ooh, man. You're in a very fast-moving frequency. Oh, I am? Oh, you're talking about the solar activity. Okay, yeah. Unfortunately, we're approaching another retrograde time. Okay, got it. All right. Yeah, at the end of this month, it's going to be another one of those dreaded retrogrades where it's going to be like all over the place. So
Oh
it's like,
man.
yeah, I hate those times. People are joyful. I hate those times, so because it wreaks havoc for a little bit. But okay, Mr. Brownstone, you can communicate as best you can. Can you come to me, please? Um, okay, what? Oh, that's better, but it's fuzzy. But that'll do. What? What did you want to communicate, friend? You've traveled long, and from what program do you originate from? At a point where? At one of our futures? Oh, you mean you're in a different from a different timeline? Is what you're telling me? Yes, kind of. Oh, you mean the whole Mandela effect deal? Because okay, there's the merging of the timelines. Okay, what was it you wanted to communicate? What was crucial? That did you recognize Terry and you recognize myself? Yes. And I swear this guy looks like a 20s or 30s, like somebody who entered like a boxing ring, with the weird handlebar mustache and everything. I swear he belongs in that time. Uh, but that's what he looks like. He has a vest. He's bare chested, but he has a vest and he has a red tie on, and it's just around his neck. It's not hooked on anything, and he's just wearing a vest over nothing, and then a bowler hat. That's what he looks like.
We don't know him from the past or anything.
Um, he goes, we'll put it this way. This is my flavor or style. Okay. No, that works for me. I've encountered some that have been dressed like pirates. So, okay. And others that were dressed like they were out of a Renaissance fair. So with the feather up and everything. So yeah, he's
Nothing
one of
wrong
these,
with that.
huh?
Like, nothing wrong with that. It's like wherever they fit in,
Yeah. Yeah.
or
Yeah. What time frame are you from, Brent? Uh, what we would consider where? Interesting. Roughly, he said roughly 20,000 years into the future.
oh wow.
Yeah. Or a future is what you would really say. Yeah. All right. Interesting. And are you an observer or someone that's here to knit the timelines in a particular way through communication and grounding in the Akashic? Is that one of your jobs? Yes. And in what capacity? If you could please tell me. Oh, you'll just show. Oh, of course, you want to show me. Okay. Oh, you're showing me a computer readout. I swear to God, his
Yeah.
little spaceship thing looks like the inside of a TARDIS from Doctor Who. This is they had to have gotten this from things like this because this is it's too uncanny. The outside doesn't look like like the phone booth deal. It's like a box. Yeah, it's like a cube. It's not like a longer thing like a phone booth would be. It's like this cube that has like blunted corners on it, and there's like a little like jewel or something in the center, like green,
Wow.
like a greenish bluish. It's kind of like the color of this apatite stone here,
Okay.
and it's cut into like a star pattern, like a 5 or 6 pointed star pattern, and there's all these like glyphs and stuff on the outside of the box, and it has a door on the outside. But did you make the door on the outside so it was like one of those folding like fan type deals?
So it's a time machine.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's what it is. When I see things like this, it reminds me of the TARDIS. So this is actually pretty cool. Okay, yeah, he showed me a readout. What is it you were? Okay, you were wanting before I started looking at your ship. What was it you were wanting to show me that you were wanting to communicate? Yes, I can kind of see the readout. The solar energies are a little much, but yeah, you'll have to bear with me. It's okay. Okay, yeah, I'm seeing a screen. He's kind of aiming like this little. He pulled out of this glass like semicircle deal. He pulled a screen up out of it, like he reached in, went and pulled this like almost like putty out of it, Kind of if we reached into silly putty or mud or something and pulled out something, that's what it looked like.
Wow.
And it's almost like he's using some kind of fluidic technology. That's really interesting. Oh, a type of nanotech that holds it solid like that, and you could change the readouts and all of it. Oh, okay, that's very interesting. Okay, all right. So let me see what you were doing. Um, Communicating different temporal and timeline changes and solar events. Yes. Are you blocking these things or enhancing them or just reporting on them? Recording and reporting. Okay. And you came to Terry because you recognize him as a soul, or are you reporting this to many people? Many. Okay. Oh, I understand. You put a recording in the Keswick grid. Oh, okay. Kind of like leaving a voicemail or something, or an advertisement or something. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. You were catching part of his basically his ad, pretty much. Okay. I just call it putting it like basically uploading an ad or a video or something. That's really what it is. Essentially correct, but on a quantum level. There was another race that tried this a couple of years back called the Canis. They're a dog race. They tried putting one of their little things in the voice to skull in a Kijik, and it drove the other Galactics bonkers. Because it was running stuff about their race and everything, and all the other Galactics are like, but these guys, yeah, that's what he's doing. They're uploading information to the Kijik grid, and it's basically uploading to other people from the Kijik grid. And that's what you caught. You caught the edge of this message of his. What is the exact message so we can relay it here? What is it? It goes as follows. Okay. Oh yeah. Oh God, you're almost like a salesman. Okay. He's like, hey, people of Earth, like this, and he put his hand up like this, like this, and he said they're sowing the seeds of knowledge in communicating with our or his past selves, which would mean us. Okay. And okay, can you go a little further, please? He says we are attempting to ignite the fires of information through what we know as the Akashic grid and the Galactic Akashic grid, and what we would call the nexus point. Okay, and the Mandela effect is soon what? Going to show more of its show more evidence of it, is what you're saying. But don't be alarmed by that because it's a natural healing process of the timelines. Yes. Okay. Okay. It's basically like an all points bulletin, basically telling people that it's going to be fine. Okay. Yeah. You were catching basically his recorded message that he has. Basically, it's running in a loop. So other channelers are going to be picking up on this, probably fragments of this for a while. So he'll probably run it in a loop a while until people get the whole message.
So he that's actually his name. He's not just using that name.
Let's see. Oh, he just keeps saying agent designation. I'm going to see if I can get his actual name. Oh, no, his name's Terry. Your name is not Terry. Now stop it. Okay, let's see. Let's see. That would fit. That would fit if his name was Terry Brownstone. That would be kind of cool. Okay. Okay. He's like this. Okay. Let's see. But what is your actual name? What instead of Mr. Brownstone?
Tell him we're gonna meet him in the future, so we need to know his name.
Yeah. What, Isaac? Did you say his name was? No, it is not John Doe. Okay. Let's see. Okay, no, let's, okay, now he's already messing with him. Okay, let's see. Okay, it is. Oh, did you say your name was Jeremy? Jeremy Brownstone. You don't want to be called that. Jeremy Brownstone. Okay, I'll remember. That's easy to remember. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, more than likely he will probably show up on the council tomorrow. Probably we'll find out. But that'd be awesome. But let's see. Yeah, but he's communicating from in that cube-shaped vessel. I've seen these before. I've seen these cube-shaped vessels. This almost looks like Galactic Federation technology. Actually, is it? Kind of. Okay. That's very interesting. I had a dream where I saw one of these cube-shaped vessels that had a lot of. They were like the TARDIS. So I've seen these before with the little jewel on the top of them and everything. So that's very interesting.
So
And
is he in our solar system, or is he like far away?
he's right here on Earth, but communicating from where? Oh, through the timelines. You're saying, but you're here on Earth in the United States, but you're communicating from a different timeline in the same area of land, same country. Yeah. Okay. Okay. But from where in the United States are you transmitting from? From his area or mine? Oh, his. Okay. From close to him, but in your timeline. Yes. So you really didn't time travel per se, you're time communicating. Yes. Okay. All right. But you could come here if you wanted to. Yes. Okay. Okay. Too toxic. I know that. Yeah. Yeah. But you that's what that jewel on the top of your ship is doing, isn't it? You're using it's basically an antenna. Yeah. Okay. Okay, why is that thing spinning counterclockwise? What is it? Is that grounding your vessel and using like the Earth to communicate, or the Nexus to communicate? Yeah, okay. It's this jewel is rotating counterclockwise, like this, and it's going. The torsion field is going down, but he's using the Schumann resonance and everything of the Earth and the Nexus point stretching out, and then it's bouncing. It's deflecting back like a sonar on the same point. Or the same area, and that's how he was able to communicate with you. Also upload the message to the Akashic is through the Nexus point, just through the timelines like that. So okay. That's pretty interesting, actually. Yeah. That's pretty cool, actually. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've communicated with one of them. That's cool. Okay. Jeremy Brownstone. That's his name. Okay. Okay.
Time travel at will, wherever you want to go.
He says he intends to. Okay. And he says he doesn't even have to leave the house. Okay. Okay. Oh, that's your house too? Okay. That's his house, essentially.
Wow.
Like if I was sitting in this room and not leaving the room, but yet I was able to transmit the different times, locations, and actually jump through the timelines and everything. That's essentially what he's doing. So,
that's cool.
Yeah, but that is cool. You caught the edge of his message, pretty much. So, Quantum Leap always trace back to him and his house ship here. So, if people want to communicate directly with him, that's how they can do it. It's almost like an office. It almost seems like an office more than a house. Like we have an at-home office, like we have the desk sitting here and everything, too. Okay, it's kind of in a simplistic way of looking at it. That would be it's like has his home office pretty much. Basically, call his office if you have questions, sort of thing. Oh, now he's joking around. Okay, okay, but okay, yeah, I started blurting that out, and it was him doing that. Okay.
What's he do for fun? I mean, yeah, that's fun, but does he have a recreational life?
Yes. Let's see. I'm going to see if he'll show me if he ever actually leaves that ship. Let's see. He's showing me the Earth he's on is purple, and it's the sky's like almost like a deep like purple fuchsia. So yeah, I've seen this version of Earth before where it's like purple skies like that after the color shift to the change over the Earth. Yeah, and what are you showing me, Jeremy? Let's see. I'm following you. Yeah. Ooh, the energy here is very high. Ooh. Okay. And Okay, he's going into a town where he's just meeting with people at a pub. Okay,
Hey,
literally, you guys still do that there in that century? He's like, yes. Okay, that's
wow.
interesting. Okay, that still occurs even in the 20,000th century there. So let's see.
Is the beer healthier for you?
Actually, yes, it's saying. And Isaac's going, was it ever healthy? Okay, let's see. All right. Um, oh, and he reached over to Isaac and just tapped him on the head like that. So uh, when he started doing that, yeah, he's sitting. He walked over like it's like he didn't even have to walk far. Here was that ship like cube of his. He just was like, boom, and he was like right in this pub. And I'm trying to see what
Wow.
actual city he's in. This looks like one of the big cities, like New York or Chicago or something. Let me see here. Uh, Smaller than those? Okay, what part? Oh, that's right. You said you were close to Terry, so you would be in Pennsylvania somewhere. Okay. And he just kind of literally stepped out, and there was like this pub. So are you saying uh, you could step over into a neighboring state? This looks more like Boston to me, actually, because I've been to Boston. This looks like some of the streets of Boston to me. Uh, was I correct on that? Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Okay,
Hmm.
so you could literally step, and you could step at any part of the planet that you wanted to. Okay, okay, that actually makes sense because of the quantum. Like, okay, yeah, okay, portal, yeah, but yeah, he's sitting in a pub in Boston. I'm trying to see which one. Let's see. It's like this corner pub, like where this street goes almost in this like. There's this weird like paralleled like M almost formation that it kind of goes off this way. It's really strange. I'm not sure if this even matches anything we have at the moment, but I'm seeing the buildings, and yeah, he's sitting at a. It looks like you would see something in Boston, like a pub or a restaurant or something. And he said they still have those. Then restaurants, everything, even some brand names like he just held up like a Bailey's. He went like this. Uh, so let me guess, you're Irish too. Let's see. Kind of. Okay. Uh, you look Irish to me. Okay. Let's see. You're acting Irish too. Okay. Let's see. But uh, but
Yeah.
he's. Wait a minute, do you have hair at all? Let's see. Oh, he pulled off the bowler hat. He has like a little bit of hair right here, but that's but he kind of reminds me of an Irishman a little bit. Uh, but
Cool.
yeah, he's big. He's pretty bulky too. Uh, let me see here. What else did you want to share? Did you have any other questions for him?
Whatever, however much he wants to tell us. I mean, does he come into our reality and meet anybody, or just tries to stay undercover?
He comes into our reality. He meets people all the time. Uh,
Okay.
but in a strange way. Okay, define strange. Let's see. Oh, I get it. He says he wears holograms. Like basically, they can wear holograms like we put on clothes, except you can just
Okay.
go like that and change the outfit. You can change look by doing that. Wear a hologram and actually, uh, we would call it bilocate to a point in history where you can walk around and interact with people.
Okay. So there's probably a lot of beings doing that.
Oh yeah, most certainly. Yeah, they share all that form of technology, but that's the method he uses to actually walk up to people here and interact and watch people here, watch behaviors, mannerisms, speak to people, and and what? Oh, I get it. It's like you have a lifeline between your ship and that hologram. Yeah, okay. So I'm seeing a conduit, like a tether. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
that's interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, actually. Let's see. What did you want to say? Have you encountered Terry before? Uh, Not directly.
Okay. You mean been in the area, the same area as he's been, is what you're saying. Oh, that's what you're saying. Okay, you count basically areas that both of you have walked through. Yeah, okay. That's why you said not directly. You haven't directly met him.
Okay.
But you never know. He might end up surfacing. You wouldn't know it because he would probably wear another hologram that looked nothing like him. So, because if he showed up, he's like this big, like Bluto from like Popeye sort of thing, like because Isaac keeps calling him Bluto because he's like this big, like burly type person, like virtually no because he's like this.
Way down the road, sometime we can look him up.
Yeah. Most certainly, he says. That's pretty
whenever
cool.
whenever we figure out how to time travel.
He's like, don't worry, we got it handled. Okay. It's just a normal thing to them. Like they go get they wake up in the morning, go into this cube, and they just go, okay, we're gonna go to work and do this.
They can do what they want. Don't need to work for money.
No, they don't. They can
on vacation all their life.
Yeah, you could say that. He does all of this. This basically, you also asked him what he did for fun, other than going to that particular pub. Basically, everything he does is for fun.
Cool.
That's what he says.
Yep.
He enjoys.
We'll get there. We're not far away.
No, we're really not. He says, "You are correct." He goes, "You are correct, sir." But yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah. It's been a very long time since I've encountered any of these time agents, so I'm glad you brought that up. That's pretty cool, actually. Yeah. And like I said in the first hour about those people that come from that other timeline, I had asked yesterday that this particular individual please come back today for the council meeting, knowing that it was this was the topic. So. This is actually a very interesting story. I'll tell you a little bit about the session. I don't know if this person wants me to mention their name, the person that was in the session, but I'll tell you what happens. Every now and again, this happens to me too, where a particular name will pop into his head, in my head. I won't know where it's coming from or why. And I do apologize at the moment because that damn garbage truck is deciding to come through at the moment. So if you hear noises, sorry, not my fault. But it's interesting is there'll be a strange name that comes in, and one of them from quite a few interstellar councils back was Herman Proton. That was one that came through for him, and I found out about him, and then he came through on the Interstellar Council. So. This is no different. This is the same person. So that came up with this name, and this name was he heard the name Mr. Brownstone, and we're like, okay, this is very interesting. He comes up with these weird names, so I figured, okay, I'll look into it. And who appears is this person in almost like a shortened top coat type vest, bare chested underneath, bowler hat, and one of those. Twisty handlebar mustaches, and this is how a lot of these time agent type people dress. And we found out that's who he was. Where he was here, he'd traveled through time, or at least was transmitting back through time, or they would say at the same moment. This was very interesting. That this person came through then, and he's coming through now. So we'll. Bring him through and see what he wishes to say on this subject of the 0 point of non-time. Give me just a moment. But again, this falls under the same category of us looking at us. So, give me a moment. But do you need me to hold on to something like a crystal, maybe? Yeah, all right. Okay, that's interesting. I'm using a piece of tourmaline and calcite put together that we've determined is a portal stone. So he's wanting me to use this. I haven't used this since the Lyran spoke. So let's see. Okay, Mr. Brownstone also prefers to have a full name. He uses his name Jeremy, but what's hilarious about this is he has like a big muscular physique. So Isaac likes to call him Bluto. So out of making fun of him. So all right. Give me a moment. And I'll have to fight past that noise. Okay, Jeremy, can you please filter that out for me, please? All right. All right. He's saying it'll be fine. Give me a moment. Okay. Ooh, he's taking his time, ironically enough. Oh, that would be why. All right. Give me a moment. Okay. Greetings in this time frame in which you hear me within. In what you call the 0 point of non-time. This is a most apt description because this describes the current moment. Think about this for a moment. I am transmitting to you from what you would perceive to be 20,000 years into the future, where cities and city structures have indeed changed. We are without money and without the bonds of money. But in this respect, the money system that you are under actually eventually fades away. We're not saying altogether at the moment. This is not the subject I wish to get into. However, the way we deliver messages are directly into the Earth Akesh and directly into what you know of as the nexus point. Think of it this way for a moment, if you will. A river that can also run the other direction, like a highway system. We are merely intersecting the same space point time as where we wish to deliver the message, just different sets of coordinates along the mighty energetic river, going in multiple directions. Don't even think of it as just one direction. Think of it as multiple at once. And that we can deliver those messages according to how the planets are aligned and your sun is aligned. This is how we can tell how to align these particular messages. Very much like a miniature model of your solar system, we can move the dials around in that very fashion, delivering the messages and putting, as you would say, like a data dump into your Akashic record at any point in your history. I myself have done this dozens of times. This is how this works. Say you have a particular planetary rotation and star rotation happening at a particular point in your history, and that we wished to steer this mighty energetic river in a particular direction. Information-wise, that is. We just dial in that particular rotation, drop the message, go to the next rotation, drop the message, the next rotation, and so on and so forth. This is how these agents maintain this. We are not the only ones conducting this practice, mind you. Other races are doing something very similar, and from different points in your history and different parallel timelines. The reason it is getting data dumped, as you would call it, into your timeline is simple. You are not always in the same timeline, you see. You are jumping timelines at an astronomical rate because of your state of evolution and the state that you are in. This, you call it ascension process, but it is actually a much more complicated visage than you would think. The evolution of genetic memory, the evolution of energy, the getting rid of baggage, all of these things that you have been talking about are all true and more. You are seeing it in a muted version of facts. We're not saying that this is dumb by any stretch of the imagination. We are just saying you have to have a starting point of knowledge somewhere. This is also why we put this information within the Akesh. What this information entails is this. The information not only about timelines and about how the Mandela effect could be affecting you, but also how to adapt to said timeline changes, changes in your sun, changes in your own energy, changes in the earth energy. We are supplying this information because we have noticed without doing such, you looking at you, in this instance, if we did not do this, we are you looking at you. If we did not do this, the timeline would skew into a schism that you could not get out of. And this has happened several times before without any outside interference, or what you would perceive, you see, as outside interference. This is really internal, as you would say, you would think disruptions, but it is not disruptions, you see. It is actually you learning about you and us learning about us. This seems to be a very complicated subject for some, but this is how this works. Think of it as a gigantic mirror, even though we sit in a parallel timeline. And one would think that we were trying to preserve our history. No, that is not necessarily necessary. Any species that are trying to tell you that are trying to sell you something. So, we are actually just telling you now that it does not matter if we shift this or not in the linear sense of timeline disruptions and timeline alterations. However, reverberating through the multiverse and within the multiverse and omniverses within yourselves, that is a little different, you see. It does disrupt us with a Mandela effect type of experience. If your kind are, as you would say, all over the place, or your kind of human, we would say, is all over the place mentally, and also in and out of your heart spaces and desynced with the energies around you. It is a complicated set of quantum physics, but we do feel the effects down the road, even as far ahead as we are, as you would say, in time. We do feel these effects and these tidal waves because we are standing in the same space-time, as you would say, and intersecting these same places in the same grids. We do feel these things very much like echoes or like ghosts, you would say. And this is where some of your ghosts come in as well. You're intersecting all in the same space-time. You are actually seeing, in some instances, seeing battles taking place, people occupying fortresses, people occupying homes occupying spaces, because they were once there in your past. You are seeing these elements of the past, especially if when elemental magic is involved, such as fire, water, ice, what have you, wind damage. All of these things. This is why people say in a tornado-ridden town see buildings suddenly intact in some areas, or beforehand or after, long after, seeing wrecked buildings where there was none there before, and then it disappears. You see, this is because you are approaching the 0 point of non-time within yourselves. Therefore, you are seeing all that came before and all the potentialities that come after. And you're seeing elements of parallel universes, parallel timelines, also within the self as well. You're getting all of your possible pasts, all of your possible futures, but the important thing is to live in the present. So all these possible pasts that are changing and all these possible futures that are changing do not plague you. It's the what ifs and should have beens and should be's. You must remain in the moment at all times, but also you can plan things out too. You can indeed make goals for yourself within the moment, within that moment energy, and not necessarily live within the future or live in the past. We do tend to dictate what our personality is dictated on all of these possible paths, but if you anchor yourself or anchor your own timeline to something, a task that wasn't as, say, horrific as what happened to you, what happens to your present, think of your current understanding of how time alterations work. Do this within the self, and you can actually remain in the moment that much clearer if you do not have all the ballasts, as you would say, of the past encumbering your present, and all the should-be's encumbering your future and stagnating your futures. This is what I've come to say today, but I will entertain questions.
Yeah, Jeremy, it's liking to mute there. There you go. So, in this space-time continuum, would you say that's not just your race, but the entire galaxy is going through a nexus that we're all sharing simultaneously?
Indeed, yes, that is indeed true. However, there are planets that are not on nexus points. However, they are still able to access those particular energies generated by nexus points. So therefore, simultaneously, there are many races throughout the galaxy and throughout the multiverse that are experiencing these changes at the exact same moment. Since you are coming close to realizing that you're existing in a point of non-time, this is actually happening simultaneously to all these other races that have connected to you, especially if they have connected to you through codexes that they are called as. This actually helps them experience these things without actually stepping onto the Earth stage. Some may see that as cowardly in some respect, but this is their chosen way of gaining this information. Instead of walking in the trenches, they are actually standing outside the trenches, but still experiencing the trenches. It is actually quite difficult to put into those linear terms, but this also has to do with the concept of the 0 point of non-time. They are actually experiencing it as you are experiencing it at the same moment in time. Yes.
So these races that are out there, they more or less threw a chip in the in the table and have anteed up. So they're experiencing the game, but not necessarily in the game.
Indeed, yes, they're standing outside the game board, but they are able to actually look at the. Think of it like this: they're looking as how the pieces on the board move, and the stratagems by which the pieces move across the board. But think of a giant game board that is multi-dimensional, and that there are several versions of the game and several versions of the rule book of the game, depending on the interpretation of the species looking at the particular rule book or the rule book in which they've applied to themselves, you see. And you can say that about yourselves as well. Think about it like this. They are standing outside watching this, but they are also absorbing the information through experience, through the codexes from yourselves.
So I have a couple questions here. We've gone through in the nauseum, coming through the heart mind. Now, one thing I've just came to me was trying to understand. Well, the heart mind has to then go back up through the brain. So the brain is actually in a point of transmission and receiving in the quantum dynamics. So what part of the brain? I mean, there's got to be, is this where the left brain, right brain comes in, where left brain is more analytical and the right brain then processes the heart mind and then it allows this quantum uptake?
Indeed, yes, you are seeing things most correctly. You think of the left brain as more analytical and the right brain as more creative, but there are changes entering into your genome currently. And yes, I am human as well, but in your current genome, there are changes taking place that are allowing these two hemispheres to operate as one. So eventually, you will not be able to say that one half is creative and one half is logical. It'll all become as one, and that is entering through what you called the heart mind. And yes, also the logical mind as well. This is all one thing and one apparatus, you see. You are not divided into all these subsections as you all dictate to be. You are one operational being that is connected to a set of quantum multidimensional points through the 0 point of non-time. You are already connected to this, but it is your analyzing of every single situation that does not allow you to connect to this properly. When you realize that the brain and heart are all one apparatus and sending that brain energy through the heart apparatus or heart mind, as you would say, all of these particular encumbrances go away, you see. All these particular, as you would say, divisions. The more you see yourself as not divided but united within the self, you unite as a culture. When you do that, all of these particular parts of your mind and heart brain, as you would say, all operate as one unit, operate as one, as you would say, genetic memory with the aspects of the soul intertwined. You are already these things, but seeing yourself as blockages and defining yourself with division type labels No, this is what actually divides you. Yes, there are negative entities trying to accentuate this, negative hologram and distractions trying to accentuate these divisions by saying conscious, subconscious, left, right, brain. When these things are dictated as not having these division lines on a piece of paper, just like there are divisions on a map between states, countries, and oceans, and what have you, when all of these labels disappear, and when there are no more divisions on a map, and also no more divisions within the self, you will actually see all of these parts of you working properly. It is you that are creating these walls and divisions. This co-creation of division causes sickness within you. But once you see these divisions and these lines on a map and these lines within the self gone, you will not only see yourself operating properly, but see your society operating properly as well.
So just give a little more clarity here. So the mind in the heart mind could be like the hardware and software operating in tandem.
Indeed, that is most correct. Yes.
And the separation is with creating this duality and this subjugation. So this has been articulated a stratagem that have been used to divide us. But again, it's this petri dish of us being able to pull through it into solidarity has been our course of action and mission. To then come to this, again, solidarity of the heart and mind to where it can function as one, the mind being up until now in mode of memory and the heart being the creative will, all kind of like the pedals and the gears, they operate the bike.
Yes, indeed. The heart and mind working in tandem. Yes, this is definitely the pedals of the bike, but also the feet operating the pedals of the bike. Basically think of device and body working as one. Do not think of it as in a technological construct. Think of it as a soul, mind, and heart working all as one. Yes.
So my other question this quest here, dreams, man. The dreams have been off the chart. I mean, dreams. I mean, I'm going into dreamscapes that almost simulate alternate realities, and I'm playing out through my. I could literally see where the energetics I am in that dream is an encumbrance. You know, it could be insecurity, or it could be being deluged with projects that I haven't fulfilled or finished, but it's playing out this energetics but the actual dreamscape is so real. Are these actual multiple dimensions of my being?
Indeed, you are most correct. See, what dreams are meant to be are exactly as you described. Your multidimensional self or your higher aspect delivering these messages, also showing you the encumbrances that you're dealing with within the self. This is how dreamtime harassment takes place, you see. There are beings out there that did not wish you to discover these aspects of yourself within that dreamscape. This is why it is so vivid. The, as you call them, bad guys, as you would say, enter the dreamscape with you and attempt to throw off this self-fact-finding mission, as you would say, in order to get you to pay attention to them and them alone, so that you are not paying attention to the real information that is attempting to come through. They think if they backlog this information within you, you will become clogged and unable to function completely. And in some people, yes, this is true, but others actually discover these particular traits and actually are able to gain at least somewhat of a self-mastery over this. Yes, some have said that the dreamscape is the last place you will actually, as you would say, master, but who says at the moment you need to completely master it? You just need to interpret what you need to get rid of. Therefore, over a period of time, no pun intended, you are actually gaining a mastery over that scape and gaining a mastery over yourself, therefore making it impossible for these bad guys, you would call them, to fill these particular spaces. Have no spaces within yourself. Fill those spaces with light for your highest good. and information for your highest good. Allow more of your higher essence to fill these spaces. Therefore, nothing bad can attempt to fill any spaces if the spaces do not exist. Thank you.
So if you have an encumbrance of despair, for example, and if that energetics was programmed into your DNA because of a family lineage, your grandmother's grandmother held true to a dogmatic ideology and it created an encumbrance, could it be that this timeline plays out in the dream and she comes forth to try to, because she's not ready to let it go, but we are, and could that actor be actually part of our lineage or an element of of a past expression and past timeline that is being thwarted as we try to let go of it?
Indeed, you are also most correct. You call these lineage curses. Yes, these can appear in dreams as well. Say your grandmother's grandmother did believe in a dogmatic religion or dogmatic belief system. Yes, this can affect you. Some can call this a rogue expression as well if it is within your soul's circle, say a past life. Past lives also occupy the genetic memory. They can also break free and actually continue the dogmatic religion or dogmatic belief. So that's actually double-threaded in this particular instance. You have an ancestor that could be forcing this particular belief system upon you that also needs to be purged. Some people believe that they've come into this expression here and now to actually dump this into the Keshic and transmute. Also, the same is also said, as I've said, about past lives. Say a past life of yours has been dogmatic, as you would say, and that has entered into your genetic memory since you're all the culmination of all the lifetimes that has ever lived. Change that particular past, rewrite that, and know that it is not applicable to the now. That is also, it can be said about ancestral beliefs. You can go into your genetic memory and literally rewrite the pasts that you are actually attached to. This does not mean that you yourself, your genetics change in the respect where it will change your form. No, it'll actually change what you are connected to, and you can actually rewrite your DNA in that respect. So it is true both for past lives and for your genetic memory. Thank you.
So this is actually a ghost genetic heritage. It's a ghost memory in the form of an energetics that's being passed down as a baton from one lineage to the next. And when it comes to us, we're holding on to this lineage, it could be that this ghost memory then is flaring because it's being challenged.
Yes, indeed. Think of it as like a type of rogue expression, as I've said, where a ghost lineage is actually most adept because it is actually still trying to hang on to something that it does not know why that it is hanging on to. Think also if you've had an ancestor that had a dogmatic belief, but also think of another ancestor that could have had a belief that actually worked for the time frame in which it was forged within and was needed within. But say that particular belief is mirrored to the here and now. This particular subset of beliefs, either dogmatic or something that was once good but does not apply now, can indeed also interfere and actually, as you begin to evolve past these things, begin to forcibly interfere within the self. This also is a form of rogue expression, and these particular expressions need to be returned to that particular past in which they belong to. Therefore, they are not applicable to the now. So yes, there are pieces within yourself that will actually come forward. Some species out there call them talking heads within the self that actually will come forward, but has come forward as a form of programming in the here and now because it is something that does not belong in the here and now, you see. These particular subsets or old selves or talking heads within the self will always resist that particular change because they think that it is defying a particular good set of beliefs that should be carried on and on and on into an infinity. No, that is not necessarily the case. These things existed for the time frame in which they were needed, or they were something that was not necessarily applicable at all, but were needed for learning purposes in a particular time frame. In either case, either dogmatic or other belief system that doesn't apply, neither applies to the here and now and will always be forcibly fought against within the self, even if it is from an ancestor or somebody that is not you or somebody that was you in a past life.
So I took an expression of an inadequacy, a rogue expression of inadequacy and despair, traced it back to my grandmother, and realized that I had to completely understand that that was her expression of love, because it was perverted, but that's what she was shown to be love. And again, it's that lineage going back and back and back. And so she passed this on to me as a baton, and I basically found forgiveness, because it wasn't necessarily her true course of action, but it's what she was programmed to believe to be true. So I took this baton, did a 90-degree turn, and I envisioned a big valley oak tree, and I placed it at the base of that tree. Now, by doing this, I basically accepted it, because it was an energetics I had to come to fruition with, because of, you choose a lineage that you need to burn out or purge a virus that I was carrying from a past life. So I faced that despair and inadequacy, placed it at this tree, did a 90-degree, and walked on. So by basically accepting it for what it is with forgiveness, and then disentangling it, I can then move on, and burning that virus collapses that timeline, not only for yourself, but in that entire lineage.
Yes, indeed. Think of something that can actually move in what you would consider to be both directions, both towards the future and towards the past. And in multi-dimensions and expressions, you see. It actually, once you rewrite that, it goes into all areas of creation that your, as you would dictate to be, higher essence falls between and within, you see. When you go back and actually rewrite these, this is one of the most beneficial things that you can do within the self. Now, can others help you rewrite these things, like guides and other seers? Yes, indeed. But the most efficient way is to actually, as you would say, take another turn, go another way. This is basically telling your genetic memory, hey, these particular traits are things I no longer accept, that I no longer need in the here and now, since your soul is vibrating at a much faster rate than your genetic memory. You're actually instructing the bridge between your soul and your genetic memory and your consciousness, as you would say here. You're building the bridge by getting rid of all these incoherent pasts and all these incoherent futures, and staying within the moment and rewriting all of this. You're basically forging the bridge between more of your higher essence and your current human essence, and therefore you're making more room for more of your higher knowledge to come in. Therefore, when you bring all of this and you're affecting all of these past selves, sending messages to all of these past selves, past ancestors, past lives, basically changing those particular codes for those particular moments. Therefore, anything harmful is no longer applying to you. It is a complicated set of physics that would not make sense to someone in a linear mindset. However, just know that you are making changes in all expressions and sessions within your current self. Just like I said, I deliver messages just by the turn of a dial. Think of your dial turning in multi-dimensional directions and expressions and sessions at the same moment in time that you are making the changes. This may seem more of a headache than it is worth, but just know that as you are making changes within the self, you are actually making changes within these other components that no longer serve.
So these rogue expressions, or creating the multiverse of our soul shards, are actually exactly what we need to resolve ourselves. I mean, it's like we look at these rogue expressions as being negative or bad, but actually they're opportunities and specifically prescribed for us in this lifetime in order for us to evolve individually by collapsing and coming to terms and collapsing these timelines of these rogue expressions.
Indeed, you are most correct. They are coming to you for that particular purpose, so you know exactly what you do not need and what you do need. This is actually most crucial for the learning process. Granted, these rogue expressions can be indeed an encumbrance, but that encumbrance was needed for you to generate the appropriate codexes within the self, not just for yourself, but the overall community. But what is most important is that you focus on the self and focus on what does not serve and what does serve. Here's a good example. Say you have a past life that was a brutal warrior, or a past life that was actually a monk in solitude, and in some cases celibacy, but in some cases that does work. However, and solitude does work in some cases, but I'm just using this as an example. Say in your current lifetime, hypothetically speaking, you are neither one of these aspects, but you had both an ancestry with one and a past life with another. And then you come to realize that these concepts are things that you may have experienced somewhere along the line, even if you're not into past lives or what have you. These particular traits that are coming forward, both the brutal warrior and the celibate and solitude monk, are actually coming forward, causing certain causality jumps and misfires within your current expression. Causing either relationship difficulties or anger issues. The warrior is not being honored, nor is this monk. Who says you need to honor either one? You just be yourself, and you basically tell your system and tell that genetic memory and tell these expressions, these are things that I no longer need. I will take and learn from you what I need to learn from you, either the warrior or the monk, and I'll continue as a combination of the two without the traits that no longer serve. This is what you need to do. Just declare that you're getting rid of traits and energies that no longer serve you and keeping the ones that are applicable to the now. When you do that, you're actually taking what you need from these particular expressions and basically telling them to take a hike if that particular expression type is not something that is needed for the current moment or current expression. So yes, it is all crucial to learning.
Bitter medicine. It's all bitter medicine here. Conrad, you want to step in here?
We've been hearing a lot about the non-reality of time as everything is actually happening at once. So what if an event occurs and you wanted to effect a do-over? What would one have to do to go back and redo the event? So say you would win a game instead of having lost it.
This is actually a very interesting topic, and this has been accomplished more times in your history than you all realize, any of you that are listening, to do a do-over. Your society has actually done this a few times before, and gotten to a point in the evolution where your society realized that you were in an impasse, and as a mass consciousness then decided to go back and restart. But this has actually happened on an individual scale, and I'll tell you how. Say you are a soul that is here to accomplish a particular mission, say insert a particular harmonic or bit of information like we've discussed, or a particular visual or music or what have you, whatever you're here to do and whatever you wish to do, that is your soul mission. But say something did disrupt this soul mission and something severely disrupted the soul mission to the point where it cannot be accomplished, and yes, this has occurred. The soul itself, or the higher essence itself, you looking at you or us looking at us, have made the decision in that respect to actually honor a particular do-over, especially if that do-over helps yourself and helps the overall planetary harmonics. This actually has occurred multiple times in your history with individuals. Some people would call it like a Groundhog Day effect, even though that was actually a comedic form of viewing this. This has actually occurred where people have repeated the same day. Also, what you would call the movie The Edge of Tomorrow. Because there are these time loops people have gotten stuck within that are also not applicable to growth. And some are applicable to growth. So therefore, they are allowed to reset to the point in which that particular time loop did not occur, or particular energies and distractions did not occur. These happen many moments in other people's lives that they do not realize, or the memory remains where they recognize this particular loop. And yes, we are assisting with this with our time travel technology, as you would say. Even though we are actually helping reset that person to an earlier time within their timeline, we are still remaining at a point of non-time, you see. And this is how this repeat loop is able to come to fruition. Because, okay, I will give this to you in a linear aspect so it is not so quantumly based. Think in your linear terms for a moment, even though this is a dumbed down version. No offense to anyone. Think of a point in your life a point where a mistake was made or a distraction was given at the wrong point in time, or what you would perceive to be a wrong point in time. The soul has learned by that particular lesson. The soul has already learned what it needed to learn, but yet time moved on from that point, or some interference from some technological source or other ET source, as you would say, caused it to move forward, or AI or what have you, or whatever the distraction is based within, that which is irrelevant at the moment. Say that in your soul of souls, you know something was not supposed to occur, but yet it did. Then your soul has learned from this. You can actually ask for a reset or a do-over. If this do-over is successful, in most cases, you will not know that it has actually taken place at all. It is actually very rare that people actually in their psyche and in their hearts actually see the repeating loop, and that the mistake that has been made in multiple timelines. In that effect, when the do-over takes place, you are actually back at the point just before the major distraction took place or the disruption from outside took place. This is actually, like I said, very common, but the majority of you do not remember because of the timeline shifts. Your memories change as the timeline shifts change, so therefore, how would you know that anything changed? Your soul remembers, we remember, and True Benevolent Source Creator remembers. This is a very complex set of physics, mind you, and complex explanation, even for the linear explanation. Do apologize for the expanded speak, but these are what you would consider to be facts of your world and facts of your particular reality. Even though the word fact is too harsh of a word, we are attempting to explain this in a way that people in your century can understand. Thank you.
Now, this would actually create a split reality, because if we were to actually go back and do a do-over in this reality, it could create a ripple in the entire expression between the point where you regressed and with the point that you were. It might affect the entire future. So would this then be acted out on a split reality?
Indeed, you are most perceptive, dear Viking. Yes, this would cause a timeline jump. So therefore, you would consider it a split reality or another universe or parallel timeline to where there was the reality where you committed the mistake. You see, as we said, time is more parallel than you realize. It has been depicted in movies and television very accurately in recent days. So yes, you would be split off to another reality that particular interference that soul experienced and learned from doesn't take place. Therefore, you would consider it to be a do-over. Thank you.
And we're back from that. So glad you enjoyed those clips. So at this point in time, we'll bring in Jeremy Brownstone again. My mother insists that's not his name, that his name is Otis. But, oh well, he kind of fits an Otis look versus a Jeremy look. But he chose that name. I believe it is because it is power in a name. So if people cannot grapple on to his actual name with their entanglements, they're not actually entangling him and dragging him down. That's the kind of thing that would happen in our density versus his. If we were able to utter his name, that would cause a pathway to him. This is why some of the Galactics use these particular pseudonyms, because a pseudonym will deflect that entanglement and they're still able to converse with the person. I know it gets to almost ridiculous levels sometimes, but that's why they do it. So let me see here. I know he's been watching the whole time. We've had to evade a couple of distractions this morning. So from typical loud people, loud engines, things of that nature. So we're going to continue now. Okay. He's here, but I don't know if he can hang around as long, so it's good that the other two recording clips were in there. So I'll bring him in here. Okay, Jeremy Brownstone. Oh, he's having a hard time connecting here. Oh. Again, solar activity, like you heard me explaining in the other clips. The solar activity that we're experiencing going towards the end of November retrograde. and closer to the solstice, the winter solstice. There is an energy there that is incoherent or incompatible with some of his transmissions. Also, the transmissions of other worlds that want to come in. So let me see here. Jeremy, you can be as brief as you want or as long as you want. Oh, there we go. Greetings once again for the third time. This is Jeremy Brownstone conducting this conversation through a conduit through your nexus point, your solar activity, and you would call retrograde activity is currently making transmissions difficult to conduct through this conduit, but you are approaching these in order to, as you would say, evolve yourself, or as he would say, shaking the rug out of all the energies that do not serve. So since all of the information that we wish to talk about was in the previous clips, we will respond to more questions at this time.
Oh, well, thank you, Jeremy. So I want to, since this is actually a little bit about galactic history, that's how Chris labeled it, what I want to do is kind of tease out a little bit about your timeline versus our timeline. So my first curiosity is, you're now would be considered 20,000 years in the future. Your timeline that you were on, did you would you say that you had any sort of similar historical past like we did, with an overrun of oppression and having to kind of go out of it, or is your timeline a little bit different?
In retrospect, the studying of the two timelines, there was a slight difference, but there were oppression in both timelines. This actually served us a benefit because we learned from those past histories. Now, you would see on our Earth some of the megalithic structures that are on yours and on ours are slightly different and slightly differently placed because of the fact that the archaeoastronomy was measured out a little differently in our timeline because the Archontic forces, or the Orions as you would call them, measured things out according to the timeline, and the, you would say, vertices and intersecting lines measured certain star patterns and certain magnetic lines and magnetic poles on our Earth and on our timeline. So there are difference and variations in those particular times, but it's minor compared to the similarities in the history. Now, are timelines merging? Oh yes, during this Mandela effect? Oh yes, and this is also how the Mandela effect affects us because of the nexus point and through those variations in the Earth grid in both areas. So yes, did history play out slightly differently? Yes, because of the placement of structures that you would not even see on your Earth, and structures that you would see on yours, but we would not see on ours, like certain, say, cathedrals, or certain worship points, or certain historical megalithic sites, such as Stonehenge, for instance. Yes, it is multi-dimensional, but on our Earth, it is simply not there. In other areas, such as your Antarctica, that is the remnants of Atlantis, in our Earth, Atlantis still is on the surface world and not frozen, you see. Some elements of it, yes, did sink, but we still have a continent of Atlantis that we still have access to some of the history from. Did it degrade in very much the same way? Yes. Atlantis fractalized across the multiple timelines and therefore crumbled in multiple universes at the same moment, crumbling in multiple sessions and expressions. It was no different on our Earth, but the continent did not flash freeze because the harvesters in that universe were more centered on yours versus ours.
Okay, and so again, we always say everything is happening at once. We're doing everything at one time. So my curiosity is now, because it wasn't asked directly in any of the last two sessions, are there people who are experiencing lives on the timeline right here that I stand on the Earth, that with the audience we're speaking to, also concurrently having a life where you are.
Indeed, yes, this is true. Yes, there is a time difference, 20,000 years. But yes, you would perceive them to be future selves in this particular universe. It has been mentioned by other seers as well, on other timelines as well, having the same concept. We are no different. You do have expressions in this particular timeline. This is how you are able to access some of the information most readily from this particular timeline. Does this mean that you are not whole and not grounded in the current moment? No, you are always in the current moment, just like I am in the current moment. Everything is in the current moment, and this entire library is accessible in the current moment. But yes, in my current moment, there are versions of yourselves here.
And it's not identical. I guess what I'm asking as well is, if there's 7.5 billion people here, are there the exact same 7.5 billion people there experiencing that? My intuition would say no. There are some, but because there's so many different types of experience to have, it wouldn't be identical. Would you agree with that as far as exact people here and boom, exact people there?
Yes, it is not identical in the way that you are thinking. As far as oversoul, you would call it energy and what you would say higher essence, then disseminating down into a human form, then yes, it is exactly like that. But as far as identical 7 to 8 billion there, no. In that particular world, there are actually more alien genomes that have intersected the human genome. There are many alien populaces that live on the Earth in that particular century, and the human race has slightly changed in some areas given other alien genomes and codexes that have been integrated over that 20,000 year time frame. But are the souls there that are also on your Earth? Yes, indeed.
So the one thing that I heard from your other discussions was that the mission, let's say, that you are working with to send information, and the reason you're so busy is because you're also having to send information in multiple timelines, because souls are jumping from timeline to timeline to try and give those souls on an energetic level information to, I'm assuming, get them where they really want to be. And so you're constantly, so the mechanics of that, I find it interesting. First, I find it interesting that you're feeling the need to do it at all, since I believe you made a statement that although you feel ebbs and flows, although you may see people as ghost-like or whatever, that our situation doesn't quite affect you guys in the future, maybe as directly as some people seem to think it will, that you will feel certain things, but it's not this catastrophic. If something happens to us, something will catastrophically happen to you. So I'm wondering about function and purpose as far as, where was it decided in your galactic history that pushing information back and doing this was needed?
It was decided in our galactic history and the galactic history of, say, the multiverse, omniverse, and super omniverse, that because of the entanglement between yourselves here and your counterparts there, that certain effects were crossing through the nexus point of both Earths and appearing on our Earth, causing disruptions. It was not necessarily the level in which you're experiencing it. It did not really harm us. But it was decided by our councils that live in that time frame and in the one I'm in, and other timelines as well, where the harvesters, as you call them, or the Orions, whatever name you wish to give them, tore through time-space, causing multiple fractures within creation. Now, is this entanglement more of a natural one? Yes, but it is more accentuated by time fractures. Time fractures are dangerous, but they can also be corralled. Now, was our mission information and also learning about ourselves? That was the main purpose? Yes. But as we help you repair you, you are helping us repair the fractures in time and space and the multiverse. It is not just the guardianship that does these things, by actually repairing the inner self. You begin to repair the fractures that your dark mirror, let's just say, from that other universe created. That too is a form of entanglement, which is repaired on one end. It repairs it in all sessions. So disseminating that information down for you actually helps all of creation and helps the multiverse at large and helps history repair itself.
So for us here, if we obviously were progressed further than where we are, and we're not meant to be, but if we were, then we would see the same thing. Then looking back on our, let's call it history, we would be recognizing now how moments in our history were bleeding forth and, again, maybe not causing great cataclysm, but affecting us now. Mm-hmm. So I think, I am curious because I think this is maybe why at our current present moment there really is a push, and I know we push for it, to only access the past and your memories if you really need to heal something, mm-hmm. but don't dwell in it because mm-hmm. it is a very difficult at our current present stage for us to understand accessing that, what actually comes through and how it affects us in our lives. So right now at our level, we kind of say, don't go there unless you have to, and don't make an assumption if you see something pleasant that you want to, so you want to bring it all through, that all of it is pleasant. I just comment on that, if you will.
Yes, it is called what you would refer to as mirroring. It is a very apt description. Mirroring can actually be a good thing if you are deflecting back something that does not belong, but it can also be equally as harmful if you are drawing things from your ancient history that do not belong in the now. Yes, history is incredibly important to learn from and compare in the now. The information, the energy needs to stay where it belongs unless it is an old energy like the Titans, let's say, that are coming back into the fray, let us just say. In that respect, those particular energies that are being mirrored are actually good. The other energies of the past, like say the downfall of Atlantis being a time fracture in and of itself, mm-hmm. also Lemuria, also containing a time fracture in and of itself. Yes, those histories are important, but drawing all the emotions through the fracture and from all points in creation, not just your one timeline. Remember, Atlantis exists on ours as well. Mm-hmm. Drawing in all of that, you are actually fueling a time fracture. Therefore, the Orions are actually fueling themselves on a time fracture. Various other species fueling themselves on a time fracture, you see. Therefore, bringing in unneeded emotional history will then fuel the very thing, fueling the very beings that you're trying to expel from your world.
So, and again, and it's just a factual statement. No human currently where we're standing on this timeline has a clue about it all. I mean, and we are not meant to, at this current present moment, know everything. We're just continually learning and growing, and I'm sure you guys are continually, as you say, learning and growing as well. So I want to switch gears a little bit because of the way you've been coming through on all of these recordings, as it happens when people are bringing through information, is calm, cool, collected, self-assured, trying to get information out. I think it's important to have the discussion on emotions and, how you guys actually live, because it's my understanding that we are not going to weed out certain emotions. We're meant as humans to have a broad mm-hmm. span. So I ask you directly, then do you have moments of frustration? Do you have moments of being mad? What's the difference of your broad spectrum of emotion versus ours?
Even though humans have evolved more of a broad spectrum of emotion, this does not mean that we have evolved out anger, sadness, and despair. We have actually balanced it with happiness, joy, and love. You see, balance is actually the key. Yes, love, bringing in the love in your current moment in time is very, very important because there's been so much hatred and anger that has ruled the planet, you see. Bringing in the love at this particular moment in time you stand in is very important. But remember, it is not the know-all and be-all. The broad spectrum of emotion allows you to experience everything, feel all of it, but also at the same time gain some semblance of control. You see, not over the emotions, but control as far as balance goes, you see. Other species do not experience these except through your codexes, as what was previously explained. But we, as humans, even though we have had longer to evolve and longer to go up the ladder in density, as you would say, in your century, we still experience all of those emotions, and we still experience times of pain and times of joy. These things do not go away. This is part of the human experience. This is why our genomes, and of course yours and your time frame, are so coveted by many, many species, because they wish to have that same adaptation to all and same experience of all of these emotional states. In some cases in a malevolent way, in some cases a benevolent way. But being human means experiencing all of these emotions, not necessarily doing it in an over-bloated way, doing this in a balanced way, not reacting to certain distractions and certain oppressions in an overblown way, except if you are asserting your sovereignty and asserting protection. That is completely different than reacting and feeding something. But to answer your question again, yes, we experience all of these, and as your version of humanity evolves, you will always experience a full array of emotions, and it's not just anchored in love, and it's not just anchored in anger being the lower. It is actually a fusion of all of it. You are neither good nor evil. It is based on action and also inaction and on reaction.
And I'm going to make an assumption, so you correct me, because I think this bothers people so much, because again, the state in which people are here right now, there's such dwelling within it's like they can't get out of the lower emotions. I don't remember when I've been happy. I don't remember, anything. All I remember is struggle and depression and, and fear, which is what is all, the bottom line of it all. So people would be happy to never have to dwell in those emotions again. So I just want you to, if you don't mind, enhancing the conversation, because again, what does balance look like? So in my mind, when you say get to a more balanced state, it's like you could have a meeting, let's say, with some of your fellow workers, and it's being decided what information you're going to pump out next, and you don't agree. You really feel that this area needs to be addressed next, but you're either outvoted or, someone who has final say, and you're like all frustrated because you're like, darn it, I really think they do better if. So that's just an example. So the difference here is that people would tend to dwell on it and dwell on it and dwell on it and dwell on it, and it would really start to potentially affect them with their relationships with other people. So would it be true that you would be able to, let's say, really genuinely get over it and move on quicker?
Yes, so that's exactly it. You would call it a butthurt state, but we are able to get over it much quicker and adapt to it much quicker than humans in your century, because you have been under oppression's thumb for so long. The anger is second nature in a lot of cases. This is why we always say the other end of the pendulum swing, which is love and joy, is what then will reset this particular swing from anger and hatred over to a centered balance in the center. You see, where the pendulum does not swing anymore from side to side. It is perfectly centered, and a perfectly balanced energy is being forged through your nexus point, which then will alter all of creation. You see, this is what we are experiencing in our century when we do get into a skiff, let's say, with a fellow worker. It is not necessarily always a completed heated argument. Yes, we do have the heated argument within, our very cells and our minds and our hearts. But it is not necessarily always a verbal outburst. We are actually engaging on more of a quantum level, as you would say. But it is still very much the same as if some of your coworkers and some of your people we're arguing back and forth on how to proceed with a certain plan, like what you were saying. But we are doing it more on a telepathic and quantum level. Even though we do verbalize and do yell at each other, it is not necessarily just verbal and one-sided or one-tracked. It is a multitude of different contingencies and different plans and different goals and different everything in the current moment. The way an argument is, say, let's say, is by the reaction to each other stopping, and then a compromise or unity of both plans being formed, which then in turn is the plan that was supposed to be formulated all along.
Okay, so I just keep reiterating that because, it will be okay. We will find a way to balance it all. It won't be all one or won't be all the other. And, that fear, because it's there, it's going to over control you. No, that's going to wean away as some of this other stuff goes away, and you will be okay. But it's definitely, I will say, this probably some of the most unpopular things that we say have to do with this arena about full spectrum of emotion, maintaining, and that isn't unhealthy. That's probably, again, like I just said, some of the most unpopular things that we say.
Just because something is unpopular does not mean it is the incorrect course of action. See, this popularity contest that your version of humanity insists on engaging in is actually very detrimental and very denigrating to the human race, because this popularity contest invokes competition, which means for and against, you see. So therefore, engaging in unity and not seeing each other as competition is one of the keys to start this unification.
Yes. So I'm going to bring up something. I don't really like to bring up things, honestly, too much that are more personal, but I had a weird reaction. Chris I was hearing when you were on the Viking show, and Chris was you were bringing up the fact that on a soul level, with consultation, that either whole groups or the collective of Earth or individuals could do things that are kind of like a restart. Okay, so you brought those concepts up. Well, the weirdest thing was happening to me. I was getting very emotional about that. And so, a lot of different things were going through my head. I thought, well, is this because myself personally, the way that I was feeling is like it's kind of like being upset, like I guess you would say when you would think too much of it has occurred, let's say. So I don't, and I was really emotional. And I don't know if it's also because of certain personal things that have happened to us over the last year. But my curiosity is, from your perspective, and again, you don't have to dwell on us, although I feel maybe we personally, this one and me, have personally maybe had to do some of that a few more times because of unwanted attention getting out of control, but the collective as a whole. So I was wondering, would it be appropriate to maybe expand on that a little bit more, and maybe, again, not to really give specifics, but to give a little bit more on, has it really been occurring a lot lately to us as a society and as individuals?
To answer on all accounts, yes. For both of you personally, also yes. Any perceived mistakes that you both have undergone were exactly as they were meant to. Even though I use the term mistake, I do not mean it in the term in which you quantify it as. These time jumps as a whole for humanity, you'll end up in the timeline which is most applicable to you. This is what you know of as the separation of densities, but it is actually much more complex than just one mere separation. It is actually a quantum knot of different timelines flowing at different moments, different perspectives, just different interpretations. But you will always end up on the timeline which you are supposed to be. Is it possible to be held back on one? Yes, and this is where we intervene and other races intervene, because this is something that is not necessarily allowed. The Orions like to do this to people periodically, because they like to hold people in a holding pattern until they have gotten out of them what they wish to get out of them. Now, are there certain angles of consent involved in this as well, holding people in a holding pattern? You would see this as stagnation? Yes. But can you hold yourself in that holding pattern by not getting a particular lesson or a particular concept? Also, yes. Both are true. The archontic side is true as well as the self. When you realize that, in retrospect, nothing that you are doing and seeing and being around is a mistake, when you see that the flow is actually already been surrendered to, and that you are actually flowing with this cosmic knot. Some have depicted this in symbology before as a knot. This is actually the flow, what the true flow of the multiverse looks like, even though there's void space stacked in between. It is actually a cosmic knot where people jump to different points on this knot and within either the core of the knot or outside the knot. These are also how omniverses and super omniverses are formed as well, between those creations that you create within the knot and what is outside of it, or what is perceived to be outside of it. In your own lives, you have created many of these and more, and within the lives of humanity, you will always end up where you need to be to either expand this knot or expand creation outside of it, or what you would perceive to be outside of it.
So for anyone else, because I never think things are only me. If I'm getting emotional over this, other people hearing this are going to get emotional over this. So is your opinion, your perspective, the reason people would get emotional over this is there's some sort of inner recognition that this has been occurring to them? And it's kind of weird, because you're saying just surrender to the flow and surrender and it's all okay as it meant to be. But I have to tell you, being in this human skin suit, and this just may be purely the human side of the emotions, you can't help a little bit but feel like you've messed up from these restarts, like it shouldn't have happened, like it was supposed to go more smoothly or whatever, and maybe there's a little bit of not feeling good about yourself about it. I don't know. It's very complicated feelings.
Yes, it would feel complicated as you are going through this transition. It feels rough in some cases, depending on what you're hanging on to from the previous subset of timelines and decisions you see. As you jump into a new timeline, it would be to your human aspect more foreign territory, and therefore what you have left behind, or what you perceive to have left behind, would be more emotional. You are actually in a confusion state because the energy is so rapidly changing around you that it is very, very emotional. This is why all these lessons seem to be stacked up. It is more of a crash course that you are receiving, because the energies are so rapidly moving, not only within the self, but outside your sun, the earth, all of it, your society as a whole, rapidly wanting change, and in some cases very impatiently wanting change. So therefore it is being rushed along and feeling like it is speeding at a breakneck speed. This may seem like it is an overdose, but it is actually not an overdose. It is your human perception in this century that is seeing it as an overdose. But you are actually rapidly jumping timelines as this knot is repairing itself, since the knot itself is alive. It is actually healing itself from the damage that has been done over the centuries, not only by your kind, but the dark mirror, you can call them. These particular wounds are actually being healed by yourselves, by your own inner workings and your own inner work that you are doing. What you left behind in that other timeline, let's say, serves no consequence except to those that are in that particular timeline. Even people that you're interacting with now in your own life currently may have seemed to have had a rapid change. This may still be them, or it may be something different, an alternate that you are interacting with, and the one that you left was one more of pain that is being disseminated and what you would say recombobulated.
Yeah, so I guess, again, instead of feel like, wow, I moved backwards, or I haven't progressed like I should, or all these other, feelings that would potentially come along, the stagnation feeling, things like that, really from a different perspective was all known that this was going to occur at this period of time. Mm-hmm. And so I think we constantly reiterate, and so I'm asking your opinion, that we really aren't, and I swear I do this every show, we are not moving backwards.
No, it is only an illusion that other beings out there wish you to think that you've taken a slide backwards, either loss of sight, loss of an ability, or they will get you to focus on the losses and not the gains you see. You are actually not taking a slide backwards, you are actually taking a leap forward. This is why they are so adamant that they are going to try harder and harder and harder and harder to try to get you distracted, and more holographic distractions are coming up and more punches are being thrown your way, is because they are terrified of what you are becoming stronger than they will ever become, because they are from an expression, as was previously said, the recombobulation of certain energies. They are from one of those edges that no longer apply in the current here and now, you see. And they are afraid that people are evolving at such an astronomical rate that they will no longer have a stranglehold, or the illusion of a stranglehold on people. See, it is all illusion, you see. They only have the stranglehold on you, in which you allow them to, by not improving yourself and not improving the state of things around you. You've never had a stranglehold on you at any point in your history. Truth be told, yes, they did come back and horrifically change things. Did they mess up the timelines? Yes, they did. But have they had a true, unconsented stranglehold? No. Are there times where they are now cheating now and getting past consent? Yes. They are doing this through what you know of as lineage curses. They are doing this through past lives, or energy juts through the grand knot, as you would say. They are doing this in other ways that are now quickly becoming cheating in your perception. And yes, it is. So that they are actually starting to do out of fear, and therefore quickly becoming overage.
So one of the areas that, I've been thinking a lot about lately, I think a lot of people, either through programming or through actually receiving information from those who have an agenda that's not necessarily for the higher good, or people that would be considered, let's say, psychic and are receiving messages, and they're either getting messages for themselves or they're getting messages and giving to others, that there was a lot more, let's say, information that was passed on the behalf of someone else's agenda than people really maybe can comprehend, to try and keep people. I'm not saying that benevolence doesn't exist. I'm not saying that good messages don't go through. I'm not saying that. But the one area I think that I hope people will let go of a little bit are what's been somehow fed to them, somehow, either these messages or either subliminal stuff on TV, of what you should be doing, where you should be at, what does abundance look for you? I mean, in those kinds of areas, because I think a lot of people are having a hard time living in the current present moment because they are feeling they're not where they're supposed to be. They're not either in the house they're supposed to be, they're not with the people they're supposed to be. But where did that information come in to make you think you were supposed to be where, have this or have that. I know a lot of seers specifically tell people, oh no, things are going to be great. I see you living in a big house, blah, 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 blah. That may not have been information that truly was for your highest good.
Exactly. This is a problem, a growing problem that is within your society currently. There are fractals of timelines that are being witnessed and pieces of futures that are being witnessed, or even elements of our own Earth being witnessed. And since there is a quantum thread that connects all of these things, you see, that particular seer is only seeing one facet and saying, oh, that is your future, that is your destiny. You have a multitude of different, you would say, destined paths. But as you do your inner work, your particular soul mission refines itself and refines itself and refines itself as you start to do the timeline jumping, you see. It begins to refine, and therefore whatever that seer was seeing at that particular moment in time may not always apply to this particular moment in time, because you have refined the soul mission down to its finite points, what is needed, what is not needed. This is how this is actually messing up in your current historical construct. Also, the bad guys, as you would say, are feeding certain information to certain seers so that they recreate the disastrous timeline in which whence they came. This is actually not occurring. There are also underground groups that are trying to recreate and regurgitate this particular effect so that people generate the necessary energy, you see. But this also is not happening. Say also your solar flash that people keep talking about. Yes, in another timeline, did something like that occur? Yes, it did. But since quantumly that rippled through the timelines, you see, other people were picking up on that also in the timeline in which you sit. And as you progress, that solar flash and that solar activity is not occurring. What is actually occurring is some trickery that is actually making people think that the sun is going to flash and burn out all technology, causing a Mad Max world, as you would call it. No, the sun, is it indeed burning out artificial intelligence? Yes, it is. But is Helios going to burn out all of your technology and cause panic and chaos in the wake of that flash? No, that is not the intention. Even though he does have a slight bit of impatience when it comes to AI, he would not damage the fabric of the nexus point. He would not damage the fabric of humanity and send everyone spiraling into another negative timeline from whence the faceless ones came. These things are not happening. Also, as far as some of your seers go, are there those that are aligned with negative beings, giving some of these negative messages, or seemingly positive messages that would carry somebody into a stagnated tailspin? Yes, there is. It is up to your kind in this century to discern which is good for you. Don't absorb the messages. Review them, discern, and take the bits and pieces you know would work and bring them back together into your more refined soul mission.
Really, probably some of the best advice right there that you gave is to not look at some of these messages being given to you as the ultimate in truth, because you're deciding what the ultimate truth is, and they could be looking at something else. So it doesn't mean the seer is bad necessarily. No. It's complicated, but just keep that in mind. But I do feel that's playing a big role right now in people's lives. So I do have a question. So we've been talking to many, people, and they seem to think, many races, and we've said this now several times in several things, that, there seems to be coming a consensus between 5 and 30 years from now, there really could be that final public acknowledgement that, other races exist. We're not alone on Earth. However, it's going to come down to really make people know that we're not alone, potentially even meeting some. My curiosity then is with you guys. So do you feel or forecast that there will ever be an importance of meeting humans from, let's say, the future or an alternative timeline? Or are your thoughts that really they just need to stay what's currently in current present moment with them?
Actually, it is an element of the two. Yes, staying in the current present moment is most applicable, But the Ebens, despite their impatience for certain messages and technologies and formulas to be thrust onto the human stage, as it were, they are actually most correct in some of their assertions, given the fact that it depends on you what humanity is ready for in the current moment and the percentage of people that are ready for it, as you have also been told. But the 5 to 30 year time frame all depends on people's willingness to change what is within themselves, and also to recognize their brothers and sisters that are around them that are actually from the outer reaches of your galaxy. You see, they're already among you, and they have been for decades now. They are actually wanting to converse with you on an equal footing, but they cannot do so with certain oppressive arms in place. So, what they wish from you is this: to change the fabric of yourself. Therefore, not seeing this oppression even existing anymore, not seeing yourself as a slave to it, but seeing it being altered and changed and transmuted by the power that you have from within, and connecting to all there is in creation. Once you accomplish this, not necessarily through technology or even what gives you joy, connecting through what gives you joy, but also seeing all of these things transform. Do you wish the Nazis to be in control of your solar system? I sure as hell would not. Transform that. See that timeline as changing. See them as not being in control, or relinquishing control to the greater whole of humanity. You see, when en masse, when you start changing these things, you begin to control the fabric and change the fabric of creation itself. You're accessing that greater galactic Akesh, or greater source field, as some would put it, therefore transforming the environment around you. Yes, informing that those things are happening are a very, very, very apt and good thing. But now that you are informed, change it. Once you start to change these things, you will see your world completely open up to all of creation. You may even see some of our time-traveling folk coming through from time to time. And yes, there are others from other timelines that have intersected your own that also walk among you as well, that are not from our Earth and are not from our universe. You see, this is happening all over. Since its nexus point, it acts like a slide in and out. So you're going to be getting beings from all over. Say elementals, for instance. You're surrounded by plenty of them. The forest people, you're surrounded by plenty of them. Beings that look like yourselves, surrounded by plenty of them. You will begin to notice these things more and more, but dwelling on the negative things that these people are doing to you, no. By being informed that they are doing these negative things to you, then you can release the shackles of illusion that are on you currently, then getting rid of the very menace that you are actually helping to create. By dwelling in it, it is becoming a tug of war, or another for and against. That was actually the stage for that was set by the Orions, to actually fight against another one of their patsies, let's just say. But if you see it as more of a unity, and we are not saying welcoming these people into your home with open arms. We would not do the same either. We are actually saying, just do not engage with them. Notice what they have done. Be appropriately angry. We are not saying not be angry. Be appropriately sad at the horrifics that they have committed and the atrocities they have committed. But we are not saying go against them with outward revolution or violence. The revolution begins within yourselves, you see, and therefore transforming the environment. It's just like one day these people just will not be around, because you will have jumped enough timelines to where that negativity, that overage of negativity, will not be as overblown. Yes, will you still have that contrast that you have to see as one being? Yes. We're not saying that will not be around. But just one day, certain people and certain overages just will not be around, and then your earth keeps spinning, and that your lives keep going. The justice, if some of you are talking about justice, the justice comes from within. If you feel that you have been wronged, you are absolutely correct. Yes, you have been wronged. That evil has wronged you. But why would you want to wrong other beings in return? Why would you want to engage in that? Yes, are there going to be warriors that remove these people from the grand stage? Yes, warriors will always be present, and monkish-like people will always be present, but it's fusing these ideals into one. Not being the wrecking ball all the time, not being the pacifist all the time. Putting them both into one and not separating those two. Yes, there will be appropriate times where warriors will have to remove oppression. That has always been. Even closer into our time, sometimes that has happened. But this does not mean for every action there is a sword. And for every action does not mean necessarily a pen either. All is one, you see. We are not saying tolerate bullying, but we are not saying become the bullies either.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And again, this is actually galactic history, not a talk with the Galactics that I would consider them, because they're on a different timeline, even though they're humans. So we didn't really get into your, although you mentioned on other shows, obviously you could step right into a pub or step how your lifestyle is or anything. We didn't really get into that today because this really wasn't that type of show. And hopefully we can talk again and get more into what it's like for you, the culture, the environment, and all of your experiences going on your world. I think people would find that interesting as well. But to close out this galactic history, anything else you wish to say before we're done?
Know that the history on our Earth and the way we conduct our lives there on that Earth are just exactly like you do here. You even do things on a quantum level that you do not realize that you are doing, as we have said, with both debates, arguments, happiness, joy, all of it. It's just more felt there. Our day-to-day lives are very much the same as yours, except that the money system is now no more in our time frame. The having to buy services such as power, electricity, or even sunlight, like you have to do in some cases here, or in some cases zero-point energy that you're already using that you do not know that you are using. I will put that out there. We do not need to pay for any of that. Also, communication devices, we do not have to pay for the usage of those. Now, trading resources and also going into, say, a restaurant to want food that somebody else has prepared, we do not have to pay for that, but we willingly help out some of these places from time to time. It is more of a trade-off, let's just say. But people enjoy doing these things. They're not dreading going to work. This is also a way that you should be visualizing your work. Do not see it as a dread or clock watching, as you would say, but see it as something that you love to do and are in balance doing. Even if you feel you are stuck, do not see yourself as stuck. See it as just one transition point to the next thing that your soul mission is refining down for. I thank you.
Thank you.
Ooh. Seems everything is like yellow when he was around. It's like different color spectrums happen when certain different beings come in. It's more yellow now. Sometimes it's more green, sometimes it's more blue, depending who came in. With the elves, it was more blue. With some other beings, it was more purple. Sometimes with other elementals, it was more green. His was yellow. He's in the yellow spectrum for whatever reason. I don't know why it's the yellow spectrum, but it just depends on the frequency in which they're operating on. You see the colors associated with the different frequencies. Yeah, and he's actually disconnecting the conduit now, but that's actually very interesting. It'd be good to have him come in maybe for a part 2 sometime, or another one of his group. I've run into several. One of them was dressed like a pirate. His name was Askelion. Another one was Pierre. He was dressed in like a Renaissance outfit with like feathers and stuff like that, and he was a French person. He was actually quite funny. I've run into various other time agents that were here at specific times in our history. I believe also Thomas falls under that category as well. Even though he was a member of former House M, he was also Shakespeare fell into that category as well. That's what he told me. He inserted himself into my own family line with the name Thomas James Craig. So he belongs in that same category as well. And I just got goosebumps when I said the name because I know he's one of those agents as well. So at this point, we will actually conclude this episode of the Lifting's Guide to Galactic History. So thank you everybody for watching.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.